Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I am GrandMcLegend, and today we are going to be doing, if it weren't obvious enough, a tier list. Now, this isn't like a new player's guide, or it's not like, oh, what is like the tanks you should go and grind now, or what is the tanks best for new players. No, it's not like that. This tier list is basically my opinions on what tanks I like and stuff. So like it's not like statistically speaking the mouse is the best performing tank for new players in the 45 to 55% win rate range. And I hate the mouse. I do not like the mouse. So I am not going to put that in S tier because this is not a new player's guide. So this is basically a tier list of my opinions of what tanks I like and dislike, and that is basically the gist. So it might be long, it might be short, I have no idea, but we shall see. So let's just jump right into it. So the Sheridan, it's a pretty decent vehicle, and it's not my favourite light. It is not my favourite light tank in the game, but it can do the job. Now, the RNG with this tank, for me, is actually pretty poor. So, I might, judging by the alpha and like the speed and everything like that, I'm going to put it in the A tier for this one. Sheridan Missile, not going to do because that's only fun modes. The M48 Pattern. It's actually a decent vehicle, straight into S tier. It can go hull down very efficiently, and the DPM is actually really nasty. It also has reactive armor and really nice turret armor as well. So yeah, it's a very nice combination for that vehicle. M60, pretty same things as the M48 Pattern, but the M48 Pattern can do better. But the M60 is actually still alright, so I'm going to put that in A tier. You can actually side scrape in the M60 now. I'm not sure since when, but it can actually side scrape, and the armor's actually better on that tank, to be fair. So yeah, that goes in an A tier for me. M6 Yo, this is with the 2-shot. S tier. Actually no, A tier. It's a fantastic vehicle, and the intra-clip reload for that tank, 1.7 seconds base, it is so nice, honestly. It's a fantastic vehicle, and honestly, it is actually, like, probably one of my favourite heavies in the game. Not my favourite, but it's not my, it's one of my best performing tanks, in this game. T57 Heavy, also A tier, 1200 damage in 5 seconds, and then you can go back for 20 and then go and do it again. It's as simple as that. And the downside to this tank is that it can get ammo racked pretty easily, which is really a pretty big downside, if I'm honest. But yeah, the T57 is not actually that bad of a vehicle. E5, another A tier. I'm surprised nothing's gone down the bottom yet. But yeah, the E5, very nice tank. I do enjoy playing it. It is a great hull down vehicle. Again, the downside is the fact that it has a very weak ammo rack. But the pen and the gun itself is actually really nasty. So yeah, moving on. Concept 1B, A tier. Absolutely love this tank. Just stick it into a hull down position, and then you'll work wonders. So yeah, definitely not going to complain about that vehicle whatsoever. Great tank. E6, also A tier. Mobile. It's got DPM. It's actually got armor. It's got so much stuff going for it. Honestly, it's got penetration. It's got alpha. Yeah, it's got everything. You could go against mediums, you can go against heavies, you can go against TDs. If you go in a platoon with an E6, you will lose like 10% of your games, if not less. And it's just a fantastic tank, honestly. E3, I've kind of gone to not liking this vehicle anymore. The RNG is actually pretty bad for me in this tank recently. But the gun can definitely work. That's for sure. But the speed, yeah, of course, it's got the super speed boost, and it is actually really, really good. And the armor is actually also really decent. But I must admit, there are better tanks out there than the E3, and if you compare it to something like an E5, the E3 is just worse than the E5, if that makes sense. E4, same concept. It does have a turret, however, but the damage does decrease, and it does have a PCR standard, which does suck. But yeah, those two tanks are actually alright. They are not bad by all means. Any tank in this game can work if you put it in the right situations. But the E4 and the E3, both in B tier for me. I would rather play something above that. Moving on to the XM66F. For me, this goes into S tier. It is busted still from in the way I play it. Go hull down. You have insane armor. You can actually side scrape in this tank, but you've got to be aware. Don't go side scraping too much. Like if I just go over to Blitzkit real quick and then find the XM, you can see that you can actually side scrape in this vehicle. So if we just do this a sec, and you can actually side scrape. Like look at that. And yeah, of course your hull would still be a bit showing, but the you can still pen here, obviously, but then you can't even pen the rear because it's like at an angle. So yeah, not a bad vehicle if you want to play aggressively. Rheinmetall Panzerwagen. There's better tanks out there. Honestly, I am not a fan of the Rheinmetall Panzerwagen. Actually, I'd much rather play an E3 than the Rheinmetall. But yeah, it's not the best of tanks. I mean, it does have both the light tank concealment mechanics. It does have tracer shells, and it does have adaptive concealment, which is actually alright, not gonna lie. But it's just, the pen is terrible. The armor, of course, is actually better, and it's actually troll than most light tanks. But yeah, the gun is just, it's not the best. I do not enjoy that tank whatsoever. I'd much rather play a T100 light or a Sheridan. I'd much rather play any other light tank than a Rheinmetall Panzerwagen. But moving on to the Leopard, straight S for me. Honestly, tank is fantastic. DPM is amazing. Has no armor, but it does have speed and accuracy. This is a laser pointer of a vehicle. And honestly, great tank. I love the Leopard 1, and it's probably always going to be one of my favourite tanks in this game. Fantastic vehicle. E50M, not gonna lie, enjoyment factor A. Because I do not like the E50M that much, because it's boring to play. It's really boring to play, and I just don't see the point in playing it when you're just going to win like almost 100% of the time. I mean, I'd rather go and play a pattern where it actually has a place where it has no armor, and you actually have to put it into a position instead of just going full guns blazing in an E50M and get away with everything. So yeah, not a massive fan of the E50M. I mean, it's still a decent tank. I do still enjoy that vehicle, but I would much rather prefer to play a Patton or a Leopard 1. But yeah, moving on, Kampfpanzer 50T. S tier, love this tank. If any of you know me, I do play the Kampfpanzer very well. If you've watched Eco's videos, you will often see me begging him to go and make a Kampfpanzer 50-ton video, because I did a 7.7k replay with a Rosani medal as well. So yeah, I do love the Kampfpanzer 50T, fantastic tank. And yeah, that is basically all I can say. It does have tungsten rounds as well. So as well as adrenaline, you would be able to get some pretty nasty DPM out in that vehicle. But yeah, moving on to the VK72. Not gonna lie, gonna put this in B tier. I'd rather play an autoloader or a really nice hull down tank. I don't play the VK72 that much now, primarily because, like, it just doesn't challenge me that much. Like, of course it does have weak points, but all tanks have weak points. But I don't exactly like playing the VK72 anymore. I'd much rather play, like, an E100, which would be A tier. But because the alpha's better, of course the reload is worse, but the alpha's better. The armor, in my opinion, is better when you angle it. And you also have just a bit more hit points, I'm pretty sure. And the tracks are also really strong as well on the E100. If you angle the hull, you are able to get quite a lot of bounces on the hull. But the turret, the issue is that you would have to... The thing is, you would get penned by like Hories and shit, which is really annoying. So if we just go to the Hoary section, Hoary here, look, yeah, you could, of course, things like the Hoary would be able to pen this thing pretty easily. Like if we just sat here and wiggled, well, the Hoary could just do this and then you'd be able to pen it really easily. But if you went and have like, oh, I don't know, a T57 and then put on the heat, yeah, it's going to work, because it's like, well, yeah, it's just that, it's just what it is. But yeah, the E100, I'd much rather play that than the VK72. Moving on to the mouse, I absolutely hate this vehicle. I do not like the mouse whatsoever. I mean, I know it might just be a skill issue, because people will say, oh, you're not liking it because you're not getting any block damage in the tank. But no, I do get block damage, and I despise the vehicle. It is slow, its pen is trash, its DPM is alright, but it's just a pen, and the pen is lacking, and of course the armour is also not the best when you come up against people who know what they're doing, and it's just like, I just don't like the mouse. It is a very boring tank to play. I don't find any satisfaction in that tank whatsoever. So if you could persuade me otherwise, do go and get an ace in the mouse and show me what you can do. But yeah, the mouse, not a tank for me. Absolutely despise the vehicle. Moving on to the VK90. Also very boring to play. I don't like this vehicle. It's a very repetitive playstyle. I'm sick to death of having to do the exact same thing every battle. Just go up front and side scrape and deal damage. Go up front, go and side scrape, deal damage. I'm just tired of the same playstyle over and over again. I'd much rather play a VK90 than a mouse though, but I'd much rather play a VK72 than a VK90. So yeah, VK90, not one of my favourite tanks. Much rather go and play something that is much more enjoyable for me. But yeah, moving on, Grill 15, A tier. The reason it would go into S tier if my RNG didn't suck in this tank. Like, people say it's a laser pointer, but you miss so many shells when it's like at distance. Of course, when you're up, when you're closer to the enemies, you will pen a lot more shots. But of course, dispersion at distance does kick in, and then you miss all your shells at distance, which is not good for this tank because it's a sniping vehicle. I mean, of course, I don't really play this tank sniping much. I do actually play that tank very aggressively, if you all know, and it does actually pay off majority of the time. It's a fantastic vehicle. I do like the grill, but yeah, if it was, I'd put it in S tier if it had a bit less dispersion on distance, because it is really bad. Like, there is countless times I have aimed in on an E100 frontal turret armor in a grill, put on heat and it missed, or hit the mantlet. It's stupid. But yeah, if the grill didn't have that issue, it would definitely go into S tier, no doubt whatsoever. But yeah, moving on to the Jaegeru, also A tier. I do love the Jaegeru. It is a very fun tank to play, especially when you get an ammo rack on a 60 TP for full hit points, even though you didn't actually aim in the ammo rack. But yes, Jaegeru, I love the vehicle. 800 damage per shot, great penetration, and the reload for it isn't actually that bad. It does also have tungsten shells, so if you load HE, put on tungsten shells, and load in on a TVP, oh yeah, you're going to do like 1,400 damage. Definitely not going to complain. But yeah, Jaegeru, probably one of my favourite tanks in this game. Moving on, I'm not going to do the Waffen because I haven't got that, so I'd be pretty biased. T100, straight up S tier. Fantastic vehicle, absolutely love the T100 Lite, and it is a very nice tank to play, honestly. I mean, it is probably my most well-played light tank recently above the Bat Chat, which is very surprising because I do love the Bat Chat as well. But of course, the T100 it is a fantastic light tank. There is nothing else really to say, but it's just really nice. It's got more armor than a light tank should due to the angles the armor's at. And the speed and the DPM is also really nasty as well. So, yeah, moving on. Object 140. Actually, I'd go put this on B tier. It's like a worse Leopard. But, yeah, the Object 140 is actually a pretty decent tank in my opinion. I do enjoy playing the 140. It is a really nice tank, especially when I have loads of noobs on the enemy team, so I could just farm the shit out of them. But yeah, the Object 140, a very decent tank in my opinion, and of course it's not the best, obviously, but I do like the 140. I'd much rather play like an E50M or an M60 than a 140 though. Moving on to T62A, actually really like this tank. T62 is like basically an armoured 140, and it is actually a really nice vehicle, honestly. I do like the T62, it's a fantastic tank to play. People say it's mediocre as hell, but I totally disagree with that, because just because it got its DPM nerfed in the balance changes doesn't mean that the tank is now shit. Like, it's a great tank. I love the T62. T22, actually, you're going to be pretty surprised when I do this, but C tier. I cannot get along with the T22. I mean, the T22 is probably one of my worst performing tanks ever since it got the armor increase, and it's just, I can't perform well in this tank. Of course, I still get the odd 5k, 6k game, but I just can't work with the vehicle. I don't know what the playstyle is. Of course, it's like hold down, or try to go hold down and go head on, because if you go side on, it's almost a guaranteed ammo rack crit. But yeah, the tank, I just can't get along with it, and I know what the playstyle is, but I just can't master that playstyle, which absolutely sucks. But yeah, T22, I'd much rather go and play somewhere else, if I'm honest with you. But yeah, T22, it's not one of my favourite tanks in the game. 907, recently got this tank back. It is an absolute beast. A tier, sorry. A tier this tank is, and it's actually really, really nice. I do enjoy this tank, but it does have like the RNG moments for me. But yeah, this tank is actually really nice, especially with the tracer shells mechanic, and it's a really nice tank. It's got speed, actually got armor as well, and it's also got like the concealment as well. It's got the DPM. Fantastic tank, and I definitely recommend you try and get one if you can. The IS-7. Now, I'm not actually sure where to put this. I'm going to put it in the A tier, because the IS-7 is actually a really nice tank. But the RNG of this vehicle, actually, it's going to go to A tier. There's better tanks. But yeah, the IS-7 is actually a really nice tank. And it's got really nice armor. It's got really nice DPM as well for a heavy tank. It's got tungsten shells, but the ammo rack is really weak. It's less mobile than it was before it got changed, and yeah, I'm not necessarily a fan of the IS-7. The IS-7 could be better in terms of mobility like it was before the update happened. And honestly, that would probably put it into S tier. The mobility would be really nice to have back on this vehicle. The IS-7 was focused on mobility when it first came, before it got nerfed. So yeah, I would like to see the maneuverability come back on the IS-7, but until then, it is B tier. Moving on to the IS-4, A tier. I love this tank. It is actually really nice. It's only bad when you don't aim in this vehicle, which is obviously a thing that I don't do quite a lot. But yeah, if you aim in this tank, it can do really well. The armor is pretty much non-existent on this vehicle. If we just take a look at the IS-4's armor profile real quick, and then we can have a look at how strong this tank's armor is. It's not the best of armor profiles, obviously. So if we just go here, of course, if you like this, the armor is actually alright. But the second you look down on this tank, yeah, it does actually become pretty weak. But yeah, you can work. It can work, obviously. So if we just go haul down here, and then put on the Pramo, of course, you will get actually some bounces. If you go here, yeah, of course, you will actually get some bounces. But you need to go hold down. Now, flat ground, yeah, you're going to get penned. But the IS-4 is actually a pretty decent tank. It's got DPM, it's got mobility with the super speed boost, and it is actually a really nice tank to play, and I do actually really enjoy the IS-4. Moving on to the 777. Now, honestly, B tier, because it's similar levels of stuff to the IS-7. It gets ammo racked pretty easily. Its armor is pretty good unless the person knows how to pen this vehicle, and it's actually a really nice tank, don't get me wrong, but I'd much rather play a tank that is in A or S tier. Now, the 777, it is really nice, but it does have a PCR standard as well, which does suck on this tank. But yeah, the 777, not a bad tank, and I do actually enjoy it when I want to be in the mood to actually play it. Moving on to the 260, I actually haven't played that tank, so I'll be biased. 263, A tier. Fantastic DPM, fantastic manoeuvrability, poor gun depression, and the ammo rack can actually be crit if you hit it side on. So yeah, 263 is a fantastic vehicle. I do enjoy playing that tank. And it is definitely, I'd much rather play a 263 than I would like an E4 or would than a T22. I know that sounds absurd comparing a 263 to a T22, but yeah, it's my opinion at the end of the day. I'd much rather play a 263 than a T22 medium, primarily because the 263 is just better for my playstyle. 268. Fantastic vehicle. Actually, no, A tier for this one. Great tank, but the RNG could definitely act up on this vehicle, no doubt. Its RNG is actually pretty trash when you don't aim. But even when you do aim, it can be pretty annoying. Like, you're aiming at the lower plate and then it just hits the tracks. Or like an impervious upper plate like a VZ55. Like, it's stupid. But yeah, it's a great tank nonetheless. Fantastic alpha. And it's just a great tank. Version 4, B tier. I don't like this tank's RNG. I don't like that people now know how to pen this vehicle. When people know how to pen it, its armor is not the best. But it's, of course, that is a pretty stupid statement saying that version 4 is pretty low armored when you're coming up against skilled players. But they know what to do, obviously. But yeah, the RNG on the version 4 is just appalling. Like, I'd much rather go and play something that is above the version 4 in this list. Moving on to the Vickers, we're going to put this in A tier. It's got a Hesh gun, and a Hesh light is definitely something that can deal nasty jobs. And it is a very nice tank, honestly. But the Hesh pen could be increased. No, not Hesh pen. In fact, yeah, the Hesh pen could be increased a bit, and the Hesh damage could be increased a bit as well. One or the other, it would make it better. Preferably the pen, though. But yeah, you've got the mobility as well. Very nice mobility on this vehicle, and it's also got 10 degrees of gun depression. The armor can also be pretty troll on the turret as well, due to the mantlet. But yeah, the Vickers, there are better light tanks out there, i.e. the T100 light. Speaking of S tier tanks, FV4202 straight up there. Fantastic vehicle, especially with the Hesh. Now, some people out there say that the heat gun on the FV4202 is better on the 4202. It's better than the Hesh. No way, Jose. The FV4202 has such a better fun time than the heat on the Hesh, if that makes sense. I've worded that very badly. But yeah, you only play the 4202 for the Hesh. You'd much rather play like a Patton or an M60 if you're going to play a 4202 with Hesh. It's just, why? Like, just play the 4202 with the Hesh gun. It is so much better than if you were to play it with the heat gun. Trust me, I don't understand people who play a 4202 with heat. It doesn't make sense to me. But moving on, 215B A tier. I love this tank, but it's not as good as the tanks above. The 215B does have really nasty hesh. My friend Ren has managed to kill a 50B or do 1,500 damage to a 50B in 3 shots. And that is just stupid amounts of damage in that amount of shells. And 215B, very nasty tank. I do advise you go and get one actually. It is a fantastic tank. Anything in S or A tier, I definitely go and recommend grinding. But yeah, moving on, Super Conqueror. I actually find this really boring. I don't like this vehicle for its playstyle. Just go hull down, put on reactive if people are looking at you. And it's just as simple as that. It's the same playstyle over and over again. Similar to the VK90, but it's a tier above because it has reactive armor. And it's just... why would you play it? Like, just go and play something more challenging instead of playing a repetitive playstyle, unless you're just trying to fix your win rate. But yeah, the Super Conqueror, not the most enjoyable vehicle. I'd much rather go and play something else, if I'm perfectly honest. Chieftain Mark 6, actually S tier for this tank. I do enjoy this vehicle quite a lot. The hesh is really nice, and people thought that because it was being changed to hesh, the premium rounds, it's actually pretty decent. Like, if anything, it improved the tank by a crap ton. Honestly, it's a great tank to play, and I do love playing the Chieftain Mark 6. Got 10 degrees of gun depression as well, so if you can go hull down and butter the enemy with hesh, you will have a lot of fun. 4005 B tier. I can actually do pretty well in this vehicle, but I have to be in like the right mood to play the 4005. It's a pretty difficult tank to play, and it's as big as a house, hence it's called the shit barn. But yeah, the 4005 is not probably one of my favourites, but it's not one of my most hated either. But yeah, the 4005, it's just one of those tanks where you like, oh yeah, I'm just going to play this just to play it, and it's not for enjoyment, it's just playing it because it's there. But yeah, moving on to the Death Star. Now, of course, people are going to think, oh my god, GrandMcLegend is just going to try and piss us off by putting the 215B in S tier. But no, that is not the case. I'm going to put this in C tier. It's not as bad as the Mouse because it's damage output, but the Death Star is just one of those tanks where if you either have a godlike excuse of a game, or you have like the best, or they have like the worst game in history. Like, it's one of those vehicles. I don't like the 215B. I'm just playing it to get my win rate and stats up in that tank. But yeah, moving on. Badger, not gonna lie, I haven't played it much, but I'd have to put it into A tier. The Traverse did get decreased. If the Traverse was still the same, it'd go into S tier easily. But since the Traverse got decreased on this vehicle, it's going into A tier. Armor's really nice hull down, and you can also get a really nice damage out as well due to the DPM this tank has got. And honestly, fantastic tank. I love the Badger. It was one of my first premium or collector tier 10s in the game, and it is actually a really nice tank. STB B tier, not a fan of this tank. It's pretty boring to play. Just go hull down and shoot the enemy. That's basically it. You can get the odd troll bounce as well, but people with penetration will be able to pen your cheeks on your turret, and people who know the STB well will always try and go for that hatch. And it's just a boring tank. I'm not necessarily a fan of the STB. Much rather go and play like a Pattern or an E50M. Type 71 A tier for me. Great armor, great damage, great pen, great hull down capabilities. I don't run this with the improved suspension because it's worse than it used to be. If the improved suspension didn't get nerfed, I'd definitely run that because it made the tank overpowered. But yeah, now I run the gun depression on this thing because it's just much better when you want to go hull down. And I'm more likely to go hull down in this tank than I am to go forward with like the mediums, etc, etc. Moving on to the Hori, I actually going to put this in A tier. It's not my favourite of tanks. It's not like a Kampfpanzer. it's actually a pretty mediocre, well, not mediocre, it's actually pretty broken. But yeah, the Hovri, I do find it a bit boring to play. It's pretty easy to get wins in this tank and get damage in the tank. But yeah, it's just not to my satisfaction. It's not my favourite of vehicles. It's similar, it's on par to the Type 71. But the Hovri, just because of its capabilities, it's going into A tier above like the Super Conqueror and stuff like that. But yeah, the Hovri is definitely a great tank, don't get me wrong, but I just find it pretty boring. It's similar to the E50M. But yeah, moving on, WZ1321 S tier. Fantastic light tank. I love this tank and what it can do. I love it. It's amazing. I love the vehicle so much, and honestly, I could never complain about the WZ1321. The only downside to it is the gun depression, but I can even make that work on this vehicle. And it's really nice, honestly. It's a fantastic vehicle. WZ121 A tier, also a great tank, but I'd much rather go and play like another medium, like a Patton or a Leopard or a Kampfpanzer. But yeah, the 121, very nice alpha for a medium tank, but the RNG can be pretty poor. The shell velocity for a medium tank as well is actually also pretty low, but that is because it is a 120mm gun. So yeah, the 121, not my go-to vehicle if I want to have fun in a medium tank. I'd much rather go and play one in S tier. But yeah, moving on, 121B, haven't played that for a very, very, very long time. Primarily because I sold it ages ago, so I'm going to be biased as to actually ranking that tank. BZ75, I'm going to put this in regards to the Hesh gun, because that is the gun that I've played with the most. So yeah, D tier. Honestly, it is a horrible, horrible vehicle to play. I do not like the BZ75. It sucks. And there is no worse tank except probably the Mouse or the 116F3. But the heat gun is actually really nice. I'd put that into A tier. But yeah, talking about the Hesh gun, the BZ75 is just so bad. Like, the RNG is terrible on this vehicle, and I'd much rather go and play any other tank in this game, well, except the Mouse. But yeah, the BZ75 is a trash tank in my opinion. Absolutely hate that vehicle. WZ113, however, S tier actually. It's a great tank, actually not A tier. Compared to the ones in S tier, it's not it doesn't compete. But yeah, the WZ113, fantastic tank. I do enjoy playing that vehicle. It is a really nice tank to play, and I don't know why people don't play it. Its armor is amazing. Its DPM is amazing. It has the highest heat pen in the tier 10 for heavy tanks, which is amazing. And it baffles me why you don't play that tank. But yeah, moving on. We have the 116S3, haven't played that vehicle, so I'd be biased. 114SP2, also despise this tank, honestly. If there was a tier where I'd never play it again, the 114SP2 would go into that. And honestly, it sucks. I despise the 114SP2, and RNG, the armor, the MREC, the speed, the maneuverability, it's such a poor tank. Like, it needs some love. The 114SP2 needs some love. But yeah, the 11158, not gonna lie, haven't played that for ages either. But I have heard it's actually a decent tank, but I'm not going to put it into the tier list because I'd be biased. 113 GFT, I'm not going to lie, I'd put this into A tier because it's a great tank nonetheless, but the vehicle is just a bit boring to play, and I'd much rather go and play something like an XM or like, I don't know, any other tank, not any other, but yeah, the GFT, it's a great tank, don't get me wrong, but I'd much rather play something in S tier. The GFT is a bit boring to play, the damage is actually really nice, but I do find myself often low rolling in this vehicle. I rarely get over 700 damage per shot in this tank, and it actually is really annoying, but yeah, I can't complain. It is RNG after all. But yeah, the GFT, not my most favourite of tanks, but it isn't bad either. Bat Chat, S tier, honestly. It's a great tank, but the T100 is just a bit better, so I've got to put it in A tier because it's great, don't get me wrong. It is a fantastic light tank, and it can really work. It can do really nice games, and the view range as well is also really, really nice. But it's hard because I could put it in S tier, but if I wanted to compare it to a T100 Lite, it's not as good. So if I had to, it'd go to high A tier, or in between at least. But just for the sake of organisation, it's going into A tier at the bottom. But yeah, the Bat Chat, fantastic vehicle, and I do really love that vehicle. And the way it works as well, it's very, very nice. The Marat, I've got to put it in C tier. I really don't like this tank. It's very mediocre for me. Like, it just go and play Boresk in tier 8. And it's like, I'd rather go and play anything else than a Marat, because its RNG isn't the best. Its lower plate is absolutely massive. The armor isn't the best. Its turret can actually be pretty troll, not gonna lie. But yeah, the Marat, I'd much rather go and play a different medium tank. It's not my favourite tank in the game. But yeah, moving on, you've got the 30B. Haven't played that for a while. 50B, A tier, because it is actually really, really nice. I do enjoy the 50B, and it can work. It can work really, really well, but I'd much rather just go and play like a different heavy tank, like an E6 or a Concept. Like, the 50B, don't get me wrong, is a fantastic vehicle when played correctly. It has no armor, it has a 22-second reload on your magazine after dumping 4 shells, and the gun is absolutely abysmal on this tank. The accuracy is trash on this tank, and honestly, I'd much rather go and play a more accurate tank than rather play a 50B. But yeah, moving on, M454, honestly, it is A tier because it's a great tank, and it's great. It's got reactive armor, it's got hit points, it's got damage, it's got the gun, it's got reload, it's got DPM. And it's honestly a really nice tank, and it's really mobile for the way it is as well. And I do actually really enjoy the M454, but the tank itself is just, there are better tanks in my opinion. Better tanks that I enjoy it anyway. Oh, would you look at that, we're over halfway. But yeah, the M454 is actually a pretty decent tank. Moving on to the Foch. Now, this is going to be with the double shotgun. But yeah, double shot would go into C tier, but the single shot would go to A tier. Now, of course, for the sake of the video, I have played the double shot more, so I'm going to put it into C tier. Honestly, I absolutely hate the double shot on this tank because its RNG is absolutely trash. Like, you hit the most stupid of shots and it pens, but then you load in on a lower plate of an E100 within 100 meters and it flies into his turret somehow. Like, it's just the most RNG dependent tank destroyer in this game. And it is like the most annoying thing in the world. So yeah, the Foch, not one of my favourite tanks, but with a single shot, it is definitely A tier. But yeah, the CS63 S tier, absolutely love this vehicle. Fantastic tank to play, especially with the mechanics it's got as well. I absolutely love the CS63. It's got DPM, it's got tungsten. It does also have reticle Cali, but I do not run that. So yeah, the CS63 is actually a really, really, really nice tank. Moving on to the TVP, actually not a fan of this tank. Goes into B tier. I actually have to be on form to play the TVP because it is a very, very difficult tank to play. It has no armor, it has a 20-second reload. Of course, people like Doodles would disagree and say that a tank should be overpowered because of its damage output, but no, not for me. I deem the factors of speed and armor as well. Of course, it takes a skilled player to do very, very well in a tank like the TVP, but I need to be on form to play that tank, and I'd much rather play something that is above. Progetto, A tier. Honestly, it's one of my best performing tanks in the game, the Progetto, and it's a really nice tank. Honestly, I'm not ashamed to have the Progetto as one of my best performing tanks, but call it A tier. I'd much rather play like a Leopard 1 than a Progetto. Like, the Progetto's really nice, don't get me wrong. It's a fantastic tank, and you do have some auto ricochet angles as well, I believe. But yeah, the Progetto is a lovely tank. I do really enjoy that vehicle. But yeah, moving on to the Lion. Honestly, I'm not a fan of this tank. It is not the best of vehicles for my playstyle. But yeah, the Lion is just it's just bleh. It's not the best of tanks. I don't enjoy it that much. Of course, it's an auto reloader with tungsten shells. You rarely see that. But yeah, the tank is just, it's not the best. I don't enjoy it. It's really hard to get damage for me in this vehicle. And when I do get high damage, it's a loss. Like, bruh. It's just not my favourite tank. The Caro, however, S tier, actually no, A tier. It's similar to the Prog. But yeah, the Caro is actually a really nice tank to play. I do really enjoy it. It's a 4-shell auto reloader with the reserve shell mechanic of 20 seconds on the 4th shell. And it's actually a pretty decent tank. Honestly, I do enjoy the Caro, and it's actually really nice. I do really enjoy the Caro. It's got speed to some extent. It's got pen to some extent. It's got damage. It's got the 3 shells, including the reserve shell if you actually shoot that if you're all stupid. But yeah, the Caro, very, very nice tank. Rinoceronte, S tier, fantastic vehicle. It has a great DPM for a heavy tank. It actually has great armor as well if you go hull down. And it also has fantastic maneuverability for a heavy tank. The only problem is in this vehicle is that if you go up against it and it's not on, if it's not hull down, you will get penned. Well, obviously on the hull. But if you're looking at a Rinoceronte like this, for example, if you're looking at him like this, you can't see the hull, but then you put on the heat rounds and then you shoot here, for example, it is almost a guaranteed Amaret crit. So yeah, try and go hull down when you can in the Rinoceronte. Otherwise, fantastic tank. VZ55, I'm not actually really sure, to be fair, B tier, because it's fun. It is a great tank, don't get me wrong, but I'd much rather play a tank above it. Like, it's actually pretty boring to play a VZ55, but yeah, that is just my opinion after all. The VZ, not my favourite of tanks, but it's not my least favourite either. It can do the job, but it's just not my cup of tea. 60 TP, B tier as well. The the gun accuracy is pretty trash on this vehicle. I don't like the accuracy on this tank. And the Amarak is also really weak. The speed is really low as well. So I'm not necessarily a fan of that. But in other ways, like the Alpha, the hit points as well, the armor on the turret is actually really decent. But to be fair, I'd much rather play like an M454 than a 60 TP. It's just my preference. Kranwagen, S tier, go hull down, deal like 1,230 damage within the span of like 4.7 seconds, I think. I can't even think. 5.47 seconds, I think. But yeah, the Kranwagen, fantastic tank. I really enjoy playing this vehicle, and I have no complaints about that tank whatsoever. Honestly, it's probably one of my favourite heavies in the game, and there is no doubt why. So, STRVK, C tier, it's basically a shit tank now. It's not as bad as the BZ, the Mouse, or the SP2, though. The STRVK can work, but it's just not the best. I really don't enjoy the STRVK. It's like, why would you play an STRVK when a medium tank exists? Like, just go play a medium tank. The STRVK is pretty much free gold at this minute, at the state it's in. If you've aced it and you have nothing to do with that tank anymore, just sell it. Like, unless you unless you're smart and you don't listen to me and then you don't sell your collector tanks. But yeah, the STRVK, it's not one of the best, I'll admit. And finally on this list, the Minotauro A tier, because it's a great tank, honestly, but I'd just much rather play the tanks that are in S tier rather than a Minnow. And it's a great tank. It's got the auto reloader, obviously, and it is honestly a fantastic tank. It's got armor as well, and I have no complaints. It is really inaccurate as well, but when you aim in the Minnow, it is actually really, really nice. But yeah, that is basically my tier list, and it's basically, well, the gist. And this tier list is not for new players, because I wouldn't recommend a new player go and get like a Leopard 1 or a T100 or anything like that, because they are new to the game and they haven't a flying cockerel what the hell is going on. So yeah, this tier list is primarily me saying what I like and what I dislike, and hopefully I have made that clear enough. Now, of course, we do have these 7 tanks down below. Of course, I haven't played them, but yeah, these are the ones we should be focusing on because I have actually played them. But yeah, this, did I do something? I feel like I've just moved a tank out of the list, but yeah, this is my list. This is my tier list on what I like, what I dislike, and that is basically that. So feel free to tell me your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below. Do go and join my Discord server, do like and subscribe to the channel, and do make sure you don't miss future uploads. And that is basically it from me. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye bye.